So California Governor Gavin Newsom has taken the gloves off and he's swinging back at Donald Trump. And folks, I am absolutely here for it. I've said so many times here on the channel that we truly need someone who's willing to go hard in the paint when it comes to Donald Trump and when it comes to MAGA, because they're bullies. And everyone knows that the bully deep down is the weakest one in the room. The reason why they're bullying people and trying to walk all over and trample people is because they're weak and they're afraid. Donald Trump is a guy who is weak and afraid, and he has went out there and he has empowered other people who are weak and afraid to always be punching down at the less fortunate and always be finding someone else to blame for the fact that they themselves can't get ahead in this world. And it reminds me of the old quote from Lyndon Johnson, LBJ. He said, "If you can convince the lowest white man he's better than the best black man, he won't notice you're picking his pocket. Hell, give him somebody to look down on, and he'll empty his pockets for you." And that pretty much has been MAGA ever since Donald Trump came along. He gave them somebody to look down on. He gave them someone to punch down on. And they've emptied their pockets. I mean, we've seen them do it. We've seen them buy all the crappy merch. We've seen them even buy Bibles. We saw them buy gold sneakers. We saw them buy mugshots of his shirt with a mugshot on a shirt where the quote said "never surrender." That's the type of loyalty these people had. They bought digital trading cards. They're buying cologne now. It's absolutely ridiculous. But he gave them somebody to punch down on, and so they've emptied their pockets. But someone who is punching back and coming from underneath and giving it back to him is Gavin Newsom. And I was so glad to see it. And I really enjoyed this clip. He was talking with Sean Ryan, and he just took the gloves off. And I'm so glad to see it. Take a look.
Reputational damage that's being done as they're sitting there on horses with American flags running through soccer fields, scaring kids that are playing soccer in the middle of the day at a summer camp. For what? Just toughness. It's a weakness masquerading as strength. That's what I don't like about this son of a bitch. I don't. And forgive me, I know he's the president of the United States. Forgive me, I didn't, yeah, he calls me new scum. Come on. I mean, how do I explain that to my kid? Now I have my kids' friends calling my kids new scum. That I get, because I was called that in 7th grade, but not by a 79-year-old. Model better goddamn behavior, man. Forgive the goddamn.
Okay, don't worry about the son of a bitch and don't worry about the goddams. No one's going to hold it against you. We need someone who is willing to take the gloves off and go after Trump. And for those of you who might be offended by words like that, just put your fingers in your ears so this thing is over with, because we've got to have somebody who will stand up and dish it back out on Trump. And think about the fact now that Gavin Newsom's kid goes to school and gets called new scum, because the President of the United States, the person who is the leader of the free world, the person who is supposed to set examples for us all, is out there engaging in that type of grade school rhetoric. I mean, we've all had our names mocked and made fun of when we were kids. You expect it in grade school, but you don't expect it coming from the highest office in the land, and you don't expect it coming from a guy who is just out there to play politics. But unfortunately, that's the world we live in. Trump plays into that type of rhetoric, and he does it to stir up that base, to give them something to punch down on. They love it when Trump comes up with a nickname like that. Then they can use it. Then they can pass it around. And every now and then, I catch myself doing it. I catch myself calling Charlie Kirk Charlie Cuck. And yeah, I've called Marjorie Taylor Greene Moscow Marge a time or two. But really, a lot of times, if I'm being honest, I've tried to kind of steer clear of a lot of that just because it is so third grade. No offense to third graders out there. But it is so childish. It is so over-the-top ridiculous. And Trump has just made it such a embarrassment that I just try to go and bring the facts and say, here's what's going on. I don't have to call you by a ridiculous nickname. I can point to the facts and I can own you that way. And that's what Newsom does in this next clip. Take a look.
Separates our game from the game played elsewhere is innovation, entrepreneurialism, more patents, more engineers, more researchers, more Nobel laureates in my state than any other damn state, more Fortune 500 companies in my state than any other state. Look that up, because I know people are rolling their eyes and saying, no, it's Texas. You're wrong.
It's true. I looked it up.
And we're, by the way, a donor state. We provided $83.1 billion more than we received from the federal government. Texas took $71.1 billion. I'm not saying that to bash Texas, but you know what? Pretty proud of my goddamn state.
I saw that
above
too.
Our weight, man. But AI.
Can you repeat those numbers?
$83.1 billion. We provided more to the federal government than we received in the same year that Texas received 71.1 billion more than they provided to the federal
So
government.
you're net positive.
Net positive. 9 out of 10 of the donor states are Trump states, and I don't mean that pejoratively, Trump. 7 of the 10 are Republican states, but 9 out of the 10 dependent states, welfare states, are Trump states. The donor states disproportionately the blue states. 71% of the country's GDP comes from blue counties. Mm-hmm. These same crack-up counties with all these crazy liberals that can't get out of their own goddamn way, and the world's come to an end. It's 71% of the economy of the goddamn country, man.
Now, folks, I don't have a crystal ball. I don't know if Gavin Newsom is going to be the Democratic frontrunner. I don't know if he's going to be the next president of the United States. I don't know what the future holds. But he definitely is going to be a contender. We can all see that coming. And I think that there's going to be a lot of people when that time comes, when Newsom comes up higher, and let's say that he does become the front runner. Let's just do a what if here. If that were to happen, what MAGA is going to do, they're then going to shift and say, well, don't California my Tennessee, and don't California my Texas, and don't California my South Carolina. They're going to say things like that, and they're going to run as hard as they can with their anti-California rhetoric. They'll probably actually just for a minute kind of give the immigrants a break, just for a minute. And they will go over, and that will be their newest talking point, will be to downgrade and belittle California. And I'm glad that Gavin Newsom just sits there and brings the facts to the point that Sean has to say, yeah, he's right, I looked it up. That's what we have to have more of. But Gavin Newsom has been on an absolute roll, trolling not only Trump, but pretty much Republicans. I'm going to go over here to his Twitter feed. I call it the dumpster fire that is X. But he is in that swamp. And that's what it is. He's in that swamp. He's in that dumpster fire, and he's swinging away, and I admire him for it. So I'm going to just go over here and show you a couple of things that Newsom has been posted. They've been pretty priceless. So let me see if I can find this one back. So, yeah, right here, this is hilarious, and I retweeted this one myself, and I never post over there. But Charlie Kirk said, retweet if you believe Donald Trump should order a full investigation into Epstein's illegal sexual trafficking from the last 30 years and get answers. And Gavin Newsom said, retweet and put that out. And then right here, the House Republicans blocked Democratic maneuver to force the release of Epstein files, and Newsom says, why try so hard to block a list that doesn't exist, which is a great point. They never think these things through before they say them. They didn't realize that when they said there's no list, then they was going to have a hard time going back and forth, but they'll try. And so you go on down here. Of course, he's sharing some of the clips from the stuff that I just read. I love his line, it's weakness masquerading as strength. That's perfect. But there was one down here that I did want to show y'all that was pretty damn funny. I know it's here. Let me see if I can find it because Nancy Mace is one of the most ridiculous Republicans that we have. And so she was doing what I was saying right here. Yeah. Don't California my South Carolina. Let's listen to what she has to say.
Here to hit the stage with me. He's the guy, challenging everybody to debate. Yeah. And he's too scared to hit the stage with me. We definitely don't want a California, South Carolina. And I hope like heck that he will accept my debate challenge. I
would love to see that. I would love to see him absolutely just take her to school. But he does right here when she said, don't California, my South Carolina. He said, so you don't want lower homicide rates, lower gun death rates, lower taxes for work and family, lower maternal mortality rates, higher GDP, higher wages, higher life expectancy, free pre-kindergarten, free community college, free school meals, and total domination in every major industry. Time to take a bathroom break, Nance. That is so good. And then right here, this person is here talking about a anti-ICE protester who just pulled a gun. Will Gavin Newsom condemn this? And he says, of course I condemn any assault on law enforcement, you shit poser. Now do January 6th. And now there may be some people out there, it's like, well, now should he really be talking that way? Should he be using language like that? Fuck yes, he should. And he should go harder in the paint on Donald Trump and harder in the paint on MAGA, because that's the only thing that will ever break through to those people. They don't. The rules are out the window, folks. We're not in the 90s. We're not in the mid 2000s. We're not in the early 2010s. We're not there anymore. We are in a completely different world now politically, and we have got to take the gloves off and swing back. And I know some of you may get tired of my boxing and my wrestling analogies, but I've always used this analogy. The way that Buster Douglas defeated Mike Tyson was he got right in his face and did not back down, took his best punches and stayed right on top of him and didn't let him breathe. A lot of people thought that the best way to fight Mike Tyson was to run from him, stay away from his power, just run from him. We've tried that with Trump. We've tried everything with Trump. We've tried to run the ropes and hope that they would tire out. They won't tire out because they love punching down at people. They won't tire out because they get off on the cruelty. They won't tire out because they love that type of reality show rhetoric. So they're always going to be pushing for this bullshit. What we have to do is we have to do, just like Buster Douglas did Mike Tyson, get right on top of them, take their best shot, and give it back to them. And, I know some people, have a problem with foul language or have a problem with someone, well, we can't be like them. It's not about that. It's not about being like them. It's about defeating them and defeating their ridiculous, radical ideology. That's what this is truly about. And so I'm here for it. You can't sit back and play nice. And also, when it comes to the moderates, the independents, the apolitical people who are sitting back, even those people who don't follow politics as strongly and as closely as we do, even those people, they still hear their coworkers at work talking about this stuff. They still hear them talking about the Democrats and blaming everything on Democrats. So they automatically think, even if they're not paying that close of attention, they automatically think that the Democrats are the evil ones, that the Democrats are the ones that are against them. Well, at least Trump's trying, and they're trying to take Trump down. I've heard that said from people who didn't know anything about politics. Well, yeah, they're trying to stop Trump. That's what I heard. Okay, well, if these people just sits back on the ropes and then waits to come in at election time, and they look over and they see Trump or Vance just slinging all this shit, and then there's a Democrat over here pointing at a chart and a graph and just, well, we got to play by the rules here. We got to play by the rules. Now, listen up, class. Pay attention. That's not going to resonate with anyone. It never has, and it's not going to. It's got to be that you give it back to them, and I'm glad to see Gavin Newsom giving it back to them. Hit them where it hurts because they're not expecting that. They're not expecting for someone to give it back to them. They're honestly hoping that the Democrats will just play nice, that the Democrats will just continue to play nice so they can continue to paint them as the villain. But you got to start slinging it back, because what you're going to do is you're going to bring people in that's going to go, well, wait a minute, hold on. Gavin Newsom just brought the facts. Gavin Newsom just laid the facts out. He gave it to him. He stood up to him. He told him the truth. How many times have we seen Trump just lash into these people constantly? And we say, hey, stand up for yourself. Don't take that. Sitting there like a kid in grade school calling him Gavin Newsom, and you think he's supposed to just sit back on the ropes and take that, let his son go to school and be called that? Like he said, how's he supposed to explain that to his son? The sad part is we live in a world where we have to set our young sons down like that and say, hey, we got a toddler that's the leader now, and he resorts to that type of hateful bullshit, and he encourages people to be even more hateful. It's absolutely ridiculous. And I want to give a shout out and thanks to Kevin Nash, the pro wrestler who, I still use the phrase pro wrestling, not sports entertainment. But anyway, he name dropped me and shouted me out on the channel on his podcast after I did the video talking about him. And he talked about how that people literally mocked him because he lost his son. And they were saying to him things like, well, you won't be spending the 4th with your son. They went that low with it. Well, do you know who empowered the kind of person who would go into his comment section and say such a heartless, cruel thing? Donald fucking Trump. And that type of rhetoric is who drove people to do that. And we have to stand together, and we have to stand up against this cruelty and stand up against this insanity. And we can have our disagreements all day long, folks. We can disagree amongst ourselves. There's nothing wrong with that. I disagreed very strongly with Gavin Newsom a while back when he sat down with Steve Bannon and Charlie Kirk. I thought that he should have invited different voices on there and platformed them. I got really angry and upset that he just sat there and he didn't swing at him. He didn't throw. I was upset. I strongly disagreed. I thought, God, that's horrible. Why is he doing this? But then when Trump called the National Guard into Los Angeles, Gavin Newsom was there for the people of Los Angeles. He was there being a leader. He was there standing up for Trump, standing up against Trump then. He's there now. He's here now throwing it back at Trump. So he had his reasons for sitting down with them, and I didn't agree with it. But I'm not going to go back and latch onto that and discourage people from getting behind him and from getting behind this moment. Because if you do that, you're going to lose. All I'm saying is you got to learn how to play smarter and understand you're not always going to agree with Gavin Newsom or whoever becomes the front runner or any of the people. When we have that moment where they're all standing on stage, trust me, we're going to disagree or have a disagreement with every single candidate on that stage. But you got to stop and ask yourself, were they there when we really needed them? And if the answer is yes, then get behind that person. And Gavin Newsom has been there for the people of California. He's stood up against this bullshit time and again. He's standing up against it now. If I had a disagreement with him on something in the past, that's in the past. We're right here right now, and we have to keep swinging. We got to stay on top of them, smother them, don't let them get their punches off, establish the jab, and go for the knockout and win. We have to win, folks, because for all the people that sits back and says, well, I wish the Democrats would do something, at the moment, they're completely outnumbered. And they're outnumbered because a lot of people lost faith and a lot of people stopped watching and a lot of people stayed home. We got to bring them back, and we can and we will. And I truly appreciate everyone's support here on the channel. I'm closing in on 800,000 subscribers. That's super hard for me to wrap my mind around, considering I'm in a town of 9,000 people and a county of 32,000. It's really weird to me because I'm still just Brando when I walk down the street. So I'm still just the dude that's been around here forever. So it's kind of odd, but I do appreciate your all support. And let's support each other and let's lift each other up and let's be there for each other. And let's win so that we can then really, truly go to bat for people. And I'll say this, I'll close on this note. When we win, do not let up. Keep hammering. Don't stop. Keep standing up for people and keep standing up for human decency and human rights.